Well, it's another weekday clash, and this one is a clash, obviously, the way the situation stands in the tournament, more significant to one team than the other, because one of the two teams up is the Mumbai Indians, who are playing for pride, playing for plenty of pride for their fans, for their franchise, and for looking ahead to next year. But for Hyderabad, it's far from over. They need to win this. They need to win the next game as well to keep their chances alive. Let me quickly update you at the top. Mumbai won the toss and asked Hyderabad to bat first. Here on Cricbuzz Live, we are joined by Lisa Sthalekar. We will be joined very soon by Pommie Mbangwa. But for the moment, Lisa, I know it's, this is the old term of party spoilers, etc., but Sunrisers need to focus on the job at hand.
Yeah, they certainly do. And they're coming up against a side, or should I say a ground, Vankati, where they actually haven't had a lot of success. I think 1 out of the last 9 games that they've played there, they've won. So it's not a happy hunting ground. And the fact that Mumbai have won the toss and elected to put Hyderabad in, maybe that's a blessing in disguise, because the last 4 games, Hyderabad have chased and they haven't really been able to get it going. I think 2 scores of 120 odd just isn't going to be able to chase down any kind of total. So I think given the tied wickets and the fact that, we're starting to see that spin comes into it, maybe Hyderabad can get a score of that 160, 165 almost, and put a lot of pressure on Mumbai.
Well, let's have a look at the reason why we are saying it's so critical for Hyderabad, because it's been something we've been debating over the last few days, possibly even weeks, but now it's gone down to crunch time. And this is why. Hyderabad now sit close to the bottom, but they're the only team at this stage other than Mumbai who have played 12 games. They played 2 more. 10 plus 2 plus 2 gets them to 14, which still keeps them in with a chance, but they need to start winning tonight. Otherwise, they officially get an E against their name. So first and foremost, they need to win this one. For Mumbai, it's just about getting 2 more points and trying to avoid finishing last. That interesting race will happen between them and Chennai. So in a small little way, something to play for Mumbai as well, Lisa.
Oh, I think it's a huge thing to play for. You look at the 2 teams at the bottom of the table, 9 titles between the 2 of them. You do not want to finish last. You're quite happy to say, okay, this year wasn't our year, but you don't want to say we came last out of 10 teams. So there is a plenty to play for. A lot of young players, a lot of new players within the Mumbai franchise, a chance for them to stake claim to get an invite back next year as well. And that's going to be crucial. So they've got to take their opportunities now and impress at this level.
Well, let me give you the first bit of news, Lisa. We had our previews, we had our discussions, and we had 2 options for Kane Williamson. One was my blasphemous option, which is the fact that he sits out. The other, which we all agreed on, you need to change Kane Williamson's batting position. And he has mentioned at the toss that he will bat down the order.
Did he say what number?
No, but he did say Priyam Garg would open with Abhishek Sharma.
Priyam Garg, right? Okay, so that's interesting. Well, I think Kane Williamson, he's a serious campaigner, played at an international level for so long. He would have known the writing was on the wall, and they've got a star-studded support staff as well to talk about the fact, hey, these numbers are not good enough. I mean, he's slightly got a better average than Rohit Sharma. I think Rohit is 18.2 or something along those lines, but just not good enough for Kane Williamson. He's aware of it. He's the type of skipper to go, yep, okay, we might as well try something else. I'm glad, maybe a little bit too late as well, to be honest. But he's the type of player that you always thought, oh, he's just 1 innings away. Surely tonight's going to be the night. But they've decided to make that change, and hopefully it's a good one at the top of the order for them.
Yeah, the official scorecard, as they have released it, has Kane Williamson at number 3, but it probably will be a Mayank Agarwal type scenario where he puts the pads on. He's got the likes of Rahul Tripathi, Aiden Markram, Nicholas Puran, all around there. So depending on the nature of the situation, I guess an early wicket falls, he could possibly come in. If it's a little bit further in the innings, you obviously want the firepower and the momentum to continue. So any of those other players we mentioned could possibly come in. We will give you the lineups starting with the opposition. That is Mumbai. They've made a couple of changes. No Arjun Tendulkar yet. We thought there was possibility of him coming in. Mayank Markande finally makes his way in as the Sanjay Yadav. The two people missing out are the two we talked about. They've made an impression, but they're the youngsters, Ritik Shaukin and Kartikeya Singh.
Yeah, well, a chance to make sure that they utilise the full bench. I've actually been surprised that Mayank Markande has taken so long to play his first game as well. I thought he might be an option to have come in a little bit sooner. So I'm glad that they're kind of exposing Ritik. We've already seen how well he's done with the ball in hand, but also with the bat as well. He was able to finish off the game the last time Mumbai went out there. So, good chance for these guys.
Yeah, it certainly is for a couple of new players coming in. But obviously, we talked about, I mean, this is not something that you normally would have talked about at the start of the tournament. Chennai and Mumbai fighting to avoid being last, and Rohit, Sharma and Kane Williamson fighting to avoid being at the bottom of the pile among the leading run scorers.
Yeah, it's just been a crazy year, hasn't it? I mean, we enjoyed the auction, the mega auction. We saw so many changes. We saw teams do really well and other teams not do that well. Mumbai struggled. We've spoken at length here on Cricbuzz Live about their core group of players just being dismantled, and they just haven't been able to find their groove at all. They needed runs at the top from Rohit, from Ishan Kishan. They messed around a little bit with Surya Kumar Yadav. Unfortunately, he's not playing for the rest of the tournament because of a forearm injury. So, but Rohit Sharma and Kane Williamson, if you said that they were struggling at the top, you'd go, really? And that Mumbai and Chennai are at the bottom of the table, you go, no, I'm dreaming. Tell me I'm dreaming. Or a nightmare, should I say.
A big nightmare for them. And as you mentioned also, Surya Kumar Yadav, had Mumbai been in the mix, it would have been even more critical for them. But I think they're more than happy to let him recover. But what about all of you? Which particular topic related to this game have you picked on when it comes to your questions? We've had so many coming in for you on hashtag Ask Cricbuzz Live. And this is the one we've chosen for today. This one comes in from Sanjay Wadhwa. And yeah, it's got to do with Mumbai's biggies. Ishan, Rohit and Pollard have performed well below expectations this season. What is the likelihood of either of them getting released in the auction next year? Well, Pollard's always been a talking point. He actually sat out on his birthday. Ishan Kishan's been struggling. Rohit Sharma, strangely, Lisa, has actually looked good, particularly in the first few matches, just getting out at the wrong time.
Yeah, he's timed the ball well. And we've said that sometimes in T20 cricket, you need a little bit of luck. You need that, outside edge to evade the keeper, or the inside edge to miss leg stump. You just need something to go your way. I certainly can't see Mumbai turning their backs on Rohit Sharma. I mean, I think he's going to be their skipper for a little bit longer. Obviously, he's just taken over the Indian job as well. We've got to put everything into perspective as well, especially for Rohit, going from bio bubble to bio bubble to bio bubble, not really having a break. So at some point it's going to catch up on the players. And I think we've seen this IPL, it certainly has caught up on a number. Kyron Pollard's probably the interesting one, given that he's coming to the latter part of his career, just retired during the IPL from international cricket. So where does he sit in the mix? We've almost seen Tim David and even Daniel Sams for Mumbai take over that kind of role that Pollard gave them. I think they'll still find a position for him, and then maybe when his playing days are over, he'll be sitting on the bench as one of the coaching staff. He's just the heart and soul of Mumbai. He's been the one that probably brought through Hardik and Krunal Pandya as well. So you've got to remember the impact that he's had on Mumbai and the culture that they've created.
And of course, the other name that we mentioned, Ishan Kishan, he was a big talking point of the auction because of the amount of money. A lot of the talking points, of course, were about the retentions. He was in retained rather. and they found a way to grab him at a price.
Yeah, that. I mean, only three or four retentions they were allowed.
Was it? Four was the maximum.
Four.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, it was quite interesting to see the jockeying of what the teams wanted and who they felt was going to be someone that they could invest a long period of time in. And I was surprised that Ishan Kishan wasn't that. Maybe they felt they could almost get him for a cheaper rate, and then they were surprised everyone else kind of jumped in as well. So they had to pay a hefty price, and sometimes those price tags carry extra weight for that player as well. It's not the first time we've seen it in the IPL. I can think of Jadavic Untitled when he went to Rajasthan. He just almost had the yips and couldn't land the ball on the pitch. So whilst the player goes, thank you very much, I'll collect that money and put it in my bank balance, it does carry a huge weight of expectation. And unfortunately, Ishan Kishan just hasn't risen to the occasion.
Yeah. Kyle Jamieson is another name that comes to mind. Few other big international players, but there you have it, Ishan Kishan. And people tend to start looking at the purse. All the guys who are a little better in maths than others will start doing the divisions of dollars divided by runs, etc. But that's always the hazard of going for a big price in this tournament. What about the opposition? The big news we mentioned is that Kane Williamson has said he will not open the batting, something we had suggested right here on Cricbuzz Live. And that is is the suggested batting order, with Priyam Garg coming into the side. Fazal Farooqi has come in as well down the order. And the one name missing there is, of course, Marco Jansen. So there's Markram, Kane Williamson, Nicholas Puran, Fazal Farooqi, of course, being from Afghanistan, is also an overseas player. So he comes in for Marco Jansen. But the big talking point really will be Priyam Garg thrown in the deep end. Try and fix Kane's problems.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. Does he actually open in domestic cricket? He does.
No, he's not a regular opener. He's very much a middle order bat.
I thought he was middle order. So yeah, how about throw a guy in the deep end and go? But you know what? Part of this generation, this type of age group, they go, yeah, give me. I'll open. I'll do it. No worries. I've got no fear. And I hope Tom Moody and the rest of the coaching staff have kind of said to him, you know what, actually there's no expectations on you. If you get off to a start, you beauty. We're happy with that. If you don't, just use it as an experience, a chance for you to get out of your comfort zone and see maybe batting up the order might assist you. You know, a lot of these stroke makers that we see in the middle order, you always have a question mark around them. You know, if they had more balls, what could they do? What type of damage could they do? Well, here's his chance to take it. He may get only one chance, but if he takes it, he might just rewrite his future for himself.
Yeah, but he'd probably have very decent company in someone who has been scoring runs in a free-flowing manner. There's always a contrast between the strike rate of Kane Williamson and that of his opening partner, Abhishek Sharma, who hasn't bowled as much as we've seen him in the past. But look at that. In terms of a Basra, 165, pretty decent. Yeah, maybe he'd like to bump it up a bit more, but that, I think Abhishek Sharma will be very proud of, Lisa.
Yeah, I'm kind of just looking at, you know, my score sheet and how I kind of colour in based on how well the impact that they've had. And there's only 4 batting instances so far out of 12 games where he hasn't had an impact at the top. Now, that's excellent. You know, that's what you want. Yeah, ideally, he'd want to kind of convert all of these 42 off 32, 31 off 25, 47 off 28. He'll want to convert that into a 60, a 70, and 80. And I think he's got a 75 and a 65. So if he can kind of convert those 30s and 40s into those 60, 70 plus, then he's going to another level. But what a great opportunity for him at Sunrisers. Has scored decent amount of runs under some pressure, given that his skipper at the other end has really struggled. So credit to him. He certainly will be opening the batting for Hyderabad next year.
They must have seen something in Fazal Farooqi, because the last time he came into the side, he went for a few runs, and to replace someone like Marco Jansen, who's actually been coming through and being a match winner for them, unless there's a bit of a niggle, I didn't quite hear what Williamson said, it mystifies me a little bit in terms of that like-for-like selection.
Yeah, he played in 5 games in a row, but only actually bowled in one of them, and it was 1 over, none for 10. And then he came back a little bit later against Bangalore, none for 47 off his 4. So, hasn't been tested really. You're right, maybe there is a little niggle. Marco Jansen did miss a couple of games and then came back in, so maybe there is something, and they don't want to upset it too much because South Africa are playing India. I don't know if they haven't announced their T20 side, have they? South Africa against India.
We'll quickly check on that. I think there was. We don't have it up on the graphics, but yes, they have announced the side. We can delve in and talk about the side. But I think from what I remember, I'm trying to think if he's part of it or not. But we will confirm that before the end of the show. But that's the changes. Just to confirm to you, the big news: Williamson down the order. We're not sure where. Priyam Garg opening the batting with Abhishek Sharma, and Fazal Farooqi making the like-for-like overseas replacement over Marco Jansen in a game Hyderabad simply have to win, and they are batting first. Not their preferred choice, but they're batting first. For Mumbai, Tim David has been another talking point from the very start of the season. Came in at the very start, was obviously 2 franchises, Kolkata, Mumbai, were fighting for him in the auction. Didn't quite live up to early expectation, but then came back to show what Mumbai had been missing.
Yeah, I think we've highlighted the most exciting part of him, strike rate of 185, and he came in with that reputation as well. And the first 2 games, it was 12 off 8 and then 1 off 3, which wasn't ever going to be good enough. But I did feel for him. 2 opportunities and you're coming down in that tricky period. And, first game, 12 off 8. Okay, that's all right. 1-6. But the next game, not much and then gone. But I'm glad that they brought him back in and he's been able to showcase what he can do and what he's been able to do across the globe in all of these franchises. So there was always going to be a question mark. How good could he be on Indian pitches in the IPL, in the best T20 domestic competition in the world? These numbers are stacking up really well.
And they really will be very important for him. We all talk about the 2 points not mattering to Mumbai. Well, they do matter in terms of that Mumbai-Chennai battle. But in terms of individual performances, probably vital for someone like Tim David to get more runs to say for next year, look, I'm part of your core.
Yeah, I'm part of your core. I'm part of your 11. I'm holding down that, 5 or 6, depending on the situation of the match, or maybe from 15 overs on. He has a huge opportunity to finish it off. And so does all of the guys that have been selected, really. That they've got a chance just to put their hand up and say, pick me, make sure that I'm on your books for next year. But I think Tim David has been able to show us glimpses and more at the back end of what he's been able to do. And for him and his confidence, he'll want to continue that tonight.
Yeah, there are a few names. If Mumbai had to look back at the season, other than the seasoned players like Surya Kumar Yadav, Rohit Sharma, Ishan Kishan, we've talked about Tim David now. Of course, there are the legends like Jasprit Bumrah who are very much there. Are people like Daniel Sams, who had that one nightmare game, then came back to show how vital he is, cog in the wheel. How many more names can you really pick out of a hat saying, enough confidence, we're there next?
Out of this whole Mumbai squad?
Yeah, just a couple of names who really strike you as saying they've done enough to say that, listen, we don't need the last few games to put our hand up.
Yeah, well, Tilak Verma, he's locked in. He's locked into year 11. I think Brevis as well. He's shown that he's someone that they can invest in, and Mumbai do this, don't they? They pick young players, whether it be domestic players or international players, and find a way to kind of bring them and mold them in their colours, and then they go on to bigger things. So I think there's a few there in that sense. I think Tim David, Daniel Sams. I would have liked to have seen Fabian Allen a little bit more. I think he can bring a fair bit to the table. Also in the field, he's so good in the field. I've seen him take, and you would have seen Gautam in the CPL, some amazing catches. And then your stock standard bowlers, I mean, if we bring the graphic up again, I think Riley Meredith has shown that he has got the ability. Mergwin Ashwin, we know. Basil Thumpy, we haven't seen a lot of. Unad cut a couple of games, and the big one that everyone's waiting to see next year is Jofra Archer. And you put him and Jasprit Bumrah together. I think Mumbai will be waiting for next year.
Yeah, well, that's what they said. That's the reason why they invested in Jofra Archer, even though it was confirmed he wouldn't be playing this season. So, yeah, a lot of preparation, particularly Jofra Archer to wait for. But when you talk about speed, let's live for the present. Let's live for the present. There's only one name that comes to mind. He picks up the award for the fastest delivery every time that team plays, no matter who they play against. The only time he had competition was against Lockie Ferguson and came out on top there as well. And we, of course, are talking about Umran Malik. The big question, Lisa, will today be his 4-wicket, 3-wicket day or his 4 overs for 51 type day?
I think, it's hard to gauge, isn't it? You almost need to see the first few deliveries and see the pitch. I think the pitch may not assist him as much as he would like and to make him as dangerous. But if he's one thing we've seen throughout this IPL already and the work that he's done with Dale Steyn, no doubt, and the rest of the coaching staff is his cutters and his slower delivery. So he's not just all about pace. Yeah, he is when he gets it right, and it's hard to kind of get your bat down, but he's got some variations. It's just now more the execution. And especially when he goes the quicker deliveries, it's the line as well. Any kind of width, and you see what happens to guys that bowl that quick. The ball just flies off and you can't get your angles right to kind of stop those boundaries. So I think he's going to have an okay day. I don't think he's going to go amazing like a fifer, but I hope that he troubles a few of the batters because it's entertaining.
The one thing he probably would like to get out of these last couple of games, of course, other than the fact that he wants his side to win, is maybe starting to bowl in slightly different places. Because so far, it's been pretty much stock standard, bowls in the middle overs. We really don't see him in the power play. And unless the only day when he was on fire, he bowled towards the end, which is not really the death. It was just that the fact that the opposition were getting bowled out.
Yeah, and that will be his development. And I don't mind the fact that for someone that they've retained, and we saw glimpses last year, they've given him more overs, a little bit more responsibility. There are times that he's thanked them with plenty of wickets, and then there are other times he's gone for runs. So now the next stage of his development, and you've got to almost think as a cricketer, it's almost like the pre-season you go up slightly, then you plateau. Then the next season you try and implement something else, and then you plateau again, and you stabilize, and you're able to execute. So you don't kind of want to keep adding all the way up, because you're never going to be able to feel comfortable and confident in your own skills and abilities. So I don't mind the fact that they're slowly exposing him at different stages of his development to different phases, different deliveries, and the phases will be the next development.
Yeah, so that's just a quick reminder. Once again, it's the Orange Army taking on the men in blue from Mumbai. Rohit Sharma has won the toss, decided to bowl first. So a bit of a test for Kane Williamson and his men. Obviously, the Sunrisers side prefer to chase. They are in a cauldron type situation where they need to win both their games to even have a whiff of trying to qualify for the playoffs. And they're doing it the harder way. They've got to set a score. But what we're going to do is we're going to try and make the harder way an easier way. We're going to have a bit of fun over here, given that we've pretty much talked about everything to do with this game and the scenario for qualification. So, Lisa, what I've got for you is a bit of a rapid fire questionnaire. And all the answers don't have to be absolutely dead serious, but we can have some fun with it. I have 8 questions for you.
Yes.
And here we go on today's rapid fire. If you were playing this season, which franchise would you want to be a part of? And this could be for any possible reason whatsoever, not only because you think the trophy might come in.
Gujarat Titans. Simply because I want to see how Hardik Pandya is in the change rooms, and I want to see the combination Gary Kirsten and Ashish Mehra as well. So I want to see how that all works.
Yeah, she just wants to
And,
party.
and
with
I
us.
think I've got a chance of winning the title as well. So
Right,
just
all right.
yeah.
That's fair enough. Current IPL captain you would have loved to play for.
Mahendra Singh Dhoni.
Fair enough. I don't think I need an answer for that one.
You know what? It's a little bit of I would have loved to have bowled and him at the other end, and him just giving me some feedback and telling me, where I should or how we could get the player out. But then also at the end of the game, I've heard this. He has this open door policy. Just love to go in there and just chill with him.
Yeah. I think the bowler keeper relationship is something we always see on the field. So excellent reason for that. One feat by a bowler or batter in this season that you would like to steal for yourself. I mean, we've got Chehel's hat-trick, Tewatia's 6s, 2 in a game, Liam Livingstone's 117-meter 6, Umran's 5 hundreds from Josh Butler.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go for something that I probably would never have been able to do as a cricketer. Tewatia, 2 6s at the end to win a match. I think I hit about maybe 3 or 4 6s in my entire career. I mean, I'm small, I'm petite, so I was a tamer of the ball. So if I could have whacked it out of the ground to win the game for my team, that would have been pretty cool.
Perfect. All right. Tewatia is the choice. Which batter would you like to watch from the non-striker's end? Again, this doesn't have to be a mountain of runs. It could just be the artistry.
The artistry, I reckon KL Rahul. I just love how he bats. So I think it'd be pretty cool just to sit there and just marvel in what he's able to do. But also Josh Butler as well. There's something about him.
Oh, you're getting greedy now. All
right. I know. Sorry. Who would you?
50-50.
Gautam, who would you like?
You've put me on the spot there.
Well, welcome to my world, huh?
Liam Livingstone.
Ooh. I'd be worried that the ball would be coming smashing back at me.
That's a good answer. That's a good reason not to.
I said no to him.
Maybe even I'd probably even think of a Sanju Samson. Maybe Sanju Samson. Yeah. Beautiful to watch. Favorite keeper in the tournament. Mm-hmm. You can answer Dhoni again if you want to.
You know what? I'm going to go for a newbie, Jitesh Sharma.
A good answer. Like it, Jitesh Sharma.
I like it. I like what he's been able to do.
All right, here's an interesting one. Number 6. If there is one thing you could redo, have basically a do-over of something this season, what would it be? I know what I'd go for sure, because I was screaming about it when I was hosting the early shows. Is no way Jadeja should have been captain.
Yeah, that's kind of the one that stands out. And the other one for me was Surya Kumar Yadav and how they stuffed him around at the start. So I mean that goes to the 2 teams that have really struggled throughout. So
actually,
either one of those.
Maybe you might have forgotten it at this stage because it's rapid fire. But your favorite pet peeve, Lucknow's batting order.
Oh yes. Why did you bring that up? I'd just gotten over that this morning.
But it's part of the rapid fire. It's sort of rounding everything up for the whole season.
Lucknow, please, come on.
Perfect. Yes, something that Lisa wants to undo for the whole season. Yes. Sort your batting order out, Lucknow. 2 more to go. Favorite ground to watch or call a game this season?
Brabham Stadium. Played my last game there, but such a cool ground just to watch the game as well.
Absolutely. Intimate, the club atmosphere at an international ground. Doesn't get better than that. And the final question before we have our prediction for the day, MVP of the league so far. It might just change. Who's your MVP of the tournament so far?
I reckon Josh Butler.
All right, Josh Butler. Fair enough. I think I couldn't look beyond that. But we do have 2 orders of business. One is our other JB, not Josh Butler, the Joy Bhattacharya question. And the question for today with the Mumbai Hyderabad game, I wonder if it's relevant to the date, to the teams, to the players. Which T20 World Cup winning coach's son is currently employed by a franchise in this tournament? T20 World Cup winning coach has a son employed by a franchise in this tournament, possibly even as a coach. I wonder. Getting your answers. Hashtag Cricbuzz Live. Well, it's just the 2 of us, Lisa, trying to get a prediction right. Hyderabad, not their preferred option, but with a new batting order. Can they get it right?
I think they're going to struggle. But if they get if they get to 163 or more, they may have enough on the board if the pitch starts to turn and is a slow one.
So is that the score you're going for, 163?
Yeah, 163.
All right. I'll go a little bit lower than that. I'll go for a 153. 153. A big shout out to Mumbai's bowlers.
And Pommie's going for 200. Well done, Pommie.
Well done. Thanks. We'll put that down. We'll put that down as 200 for Pommie. Wonderful. He has no arguments on this one because he can't argue about it. Cricbuzz Plus, of course, a quick reminder, get in there. Match Party will be coming up very soon, but Retro Reels is already up and going. Brand new episode. Joy Bhattacharya is steering the ship here, and it's lots of fun going back in time, stories, not only about cricket, relating cricket to many other sports, non-sports films. Satyajit Ray, he gave us a bit of a hint about that one. It just means you can talk about just about everything like we do here on Cricbuzz Live. Today's conversation has been mostly cricket. Mumbai against Hyderabad. Hyderabad batting first. We'll catch up on their innings in the 10th over on Cricbuzz Combox. For the moment, from Lisa, myself, and Pommie promising to come very shortly on Cricbuzz Live.